The real reason the formerly universally liked Warren Buffett is allowing the president to use him as a national punching bag is because he's got something to gain. Oh, Keystone Oil Pipeline project, what does this have to do with anything? Keystone Pipeline. It would run about 1,700 miles from Canada's oil sands, right up here, to the refineries down here in the Gulf of Mexico and Houston. Now, the experts all agree that it is safe. The State Department said it would create at least 5,000 to 6,000 construction jobs. TransCanada says it's up to 20,000 jobs. USA Today has endorsed the project pretty reasonably. Watch.
It's a lot more efficient to move oil in a pipeline than it is to have hundreds or thousands of trucks, which is the idea behind the Keystone Pipeline, which is going to be built or is proposed to be built to bring oil from tar sands area in Alberta, Canada, down to refineries in the middle of the United States and along the Gulf Coast. And the reason it has to go all the way to the Gulf Coast is because that's where a lot of the refineries in the United States are. Now, the pipeline is being held up in part because it's supposed to go across environmentally sensitive areas in Nebraska. We looked into that, and there are already a lot of oil and gas pipelines crossing that area, and a geologist in Nebraska has said it's his opinion that even if there were a spill there, it would be contained, and the company has offered to encase the pipeline in cement, which seems like a reasonable solution. That's why we as an editorial page endorsed the idea of the pipeline.
Bill Clinton's even behind it. May I quote? The cost of running is infinitesimal compared to the revenues. I think we should embrace it and develop a stakeholder-driven system of high standards for doing the work. Despite all of this and rising gas prices, Obama denied the pipeline permit because there wasn't, get this, quote, sufficient time to obtain the information necessary to assess whether the project in its current state is in the national interest. Wow, not in the national interest. Here we are, a nation that's averaging $4 a gallon gasoline, rising every day, and we're investing, quote unquote, in every solar company and green company that has ever been an unmitigated failure. We're rushing in, we got to prop them up. But we're not interested in cheap oil. It's not in our national interest. We can't rush to that. If our national interest was suicide, I think what Obama did, it is in our national interest. If it's not suicide, I think we should go with the pipeline. Okay, this is where the argument is usually left off. But there was a key word in the USA Today editorial comment, and that word was Nebraska. Because the oil is coming here, right? It's coming here. I mean, what is Canada going to do? Just leave around, big barrels of oil and they're going to abandon it? No, it's still coming here. It'll just come in a less efficient way. Choo-choo trains. Yes, the choo-choo train is going to bring it to us. Now, this is interesting because the environmentalists are freaking out over the pipeline. But what's safer and more environmentally friendly? Running giant diesel choo-choo trains all around the continent. Oh, seriously. No, that's much more secure than a secured pipeline encased in cement. Sure. And so instead of a project that the State Department concluded would have minimal effect on the environment, we're talking about loading up barrels of oil on choo-choo trains, something the State Department tried to downplay but admitted would cause some greenhouse gas emissions to be worse. Really? You mean giant diesel engines would make it worse? Does this make sense to you? Because it's almost like they really don't care about the environment, which leads you to then why are we making this decision? See, we're curious here, unlike the rest of the press. When you hear this, you're going to be so pissed off, and everything will make sense to you. Something else is at play. To understand what's at play, you have to do what I did while I was on vacation. While I was on vacation, at Christmas, my son and my daughter, we played Monopoly. And You don't play Monopoly very often because it takes forever to complete a full game. It took us on vacation at Christmas. It took us about 3 days, and then we never played it again. And then my son has been begging us, and so we're like, okay, we're on vacation. So we played Monopoly again. And this one, it was great, because if you play this game to its completion, you learn a lot. I'd never played it to its completion until the last 2 vacations. But when you do, you actually see how wealth builds wealth and power. The rich get richer. And once it gets towards the end, it only takes a couple of turns to clear everybody out, and then you own everything. And then you have a monopoly, and you realize how bad monopoly is. You realize how the capitalist system works, and then when somebody gets so much wealth, they wipe everybody else out. Now, what does this have to do with Warren Buffett? You see, the question is not about the environment or government studies or anything else. Someone needs to ask Warren Buffett, what on the Monopoly board do you own? What is he gobbling up on his Monopoly board? Well, the one that everybody likes, Park Place and Boardwalk, but the other one that is really kind of nice is when you get all of the choo-choo trains. The choo-choo trains are important. And look at this. This is Burlington North Santa Fe Railroad. That's what that one is. You'll never guess. It's a railroad company, a choo-choo train company in America and Canada. Just happens to be the company that's going to transport all of the oil if Keystone doesn't open. A spokesperson said that if this pipeline, if, quote, it doesn't happen, well, we're prepared to haul all that oil. Oh, thank you, Burlington, thank you. Now, who owns them? You wouldn't believe this. Warren Buffett and his Nebraska. There's that pesky word, Nebraska. I heard the guy from USA Today mentioned Nebraska. Wait a minute, Warren Buffett lives in Nebraska, and he owns the choo-choo trains. Yeah, Berkshire Hathaway. You remember them, the ones who are suing the IRS so they don't have to pay $1 billion in back taxes. Maybe it's because they bought all the choo-choo trains. Buffett also has ties, this is amazing, to the environmentalist group trying to protest the pipeline. Bold, Nebraska. Wait a minute, Bold, Nebraska? They're the ones that, they don't like the transnational, whatever the hell that pipeline's called. They don't like it. They don't like it. They think it's bad. And they've got celebrities, Daryl Hannah, and they also have NASA global warming alarmist James Hansen. And they also get funding from a friend and Berkshire Hathaway investor Dick Holland. Now, Warren Buffett vehemently denies he's ever talked to the president or any member of this administration about the Keystone Pipeline. Quote, I'm not qualified to have an opinion on being neither an engineer nor a geologist or having any other skill that would give me special qualifications for making a decision like that. Warren Buffett just happened to have a company waiting in the wings to make a massive profit off the failure of the Keystone Pipeline project. It's really strange. Here's Warren Buffett. Okay, hang on. And Warren Buffett takes his money and he buys the choo-choo train and he funds the environmentalists that don't like the pipeline. Now, by all accounts, this transcontinental pipeline, it should have passed because it's safe, it's a job creator, help America get cheap oil, or give you lower gas prices, should have passed. Man, he's got to be the luckiest guy ever because he's benefiting out of this, right? Okay, maybe the second luckiest guy ever because there's Spooky Dude. You want to talk about dumb luck. George Soros goes on and invests in a company called Westport Innovations, and they specialize in converting diesel engines into, engines fueled by natural gas. And then, coincidentally, the Obama administration comes out and proposes legislation that would promote natural gas-powered vehicles. Isn't that weird? Wow, he's about to make a boatload of money there. So lucky. How do these guys do it? How do they do it? I haven't even really gotten to the lucky stroke of this one. See, we'll get to that here in a second. The luck that Warren Buffett had getting the the pipeline shut down, courtesy of another guy that I'm sure he has no conversations with, Ben Nelson, you know, the senator from Nebraska. Oh, what a heartwarming story. Two close friends from the same state who only chat about sports and the weather and never Keystone pipelines end up helping each other get rich without ever knowing it. They've got to get together at the country club and say, what are the odds? What are the odds? It almost makes you feel just warm and fuzzy inside, you know, just like tax day when you got a poker jammed into you, like, oh, I feel so warm and fuzzy. They're getting rich, and they didn't even know it. We'll get to that next.